A very good afternoon to all the participants. Today we have with us Mr. Donny Roger, consultant, Foreign Service, Foreign Investigation Specialization in Bonds and Security. And we also have with us our Group Director, Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi ji. We almost have 66 participants with us. I welcome all the participants on behalf of Modern Group of Institution. The topic of the webinar, today's webinar is post-COVID opportunity for Indian SMEs in the Caribbean.
Live on Facebook also. We can still do because we could cut and edit parts and those kind of things.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
A very good afternoon, very good morning to all of you from Donny sir's side, and a very good afternoon from Modern Group of Institution. Today we are gathered here for the international webinar on post-COVID opportunity for Indian SME in the Caribbean. Today, we have with us Mr. Donny Roger, consultant forensic investigator. We also have with us our respected chairman, sir, Shri Anil Khariaji, Modern Group of Institution. We have with us Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi, Group Director, Modern Group of Institution. On behalf of Modern Group of Institution, I welcome all the participants to the international webinar. We almost have done 20 webinars in the row in the month of June on post-COVID opportunities and in different area of post-COVID era. Before starting, I would like to give a brief introduction about our organization. Modern Group of Institution is a leading group of premier institute in Indore affiliated to RGPV Bhopal, DAVB Indore and CBSE New Delhi. It is approved by AICT New Delhi, NCTE and PCI New Delhi. Modern Group is imparting quality education in the field of pharmacy, management, commerce and education. We offer more than 8 courses in these fields: B Pharma, D Pharma, M Pharma, BBA, BCom and BEd. Modern Group encompasses 2 leading pharmaceutical industries, Modern Lab and Nandini Medical Laboratories Private Limited. Modern Laboratories was established in 1979 and by late Shri P.C. Khariaji. Nandini Medical Laboratories was established in 1998. Both gained prestigious acclamation in All India rating of pharma industries. We also have Modern International School established in 2013. We believe in innovation and entrepreneurship, and hence we introduced MP's first Pharma Incubation Center, Modern Incubation Center, in the year 2019. It is sponsored by MSME. Recently, we have received World Book of Record for UK and World Record Academy USA for making largest human image of medication capsule. Also, we are recognizing participating institute of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan in association with IIT Delhi and MHRD Government of India. The institute also have Modern Innovation Council, which is an institute innovation cell by MHRD Innovation Cell. So this was a brief introduction about our organization. Now, I would like to request our respected chairman, Sir Shri Anil Khariaji, to welcome our guest. So am I audible to you? I think some technical problem is.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Am I
Hello.
audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir. You
Whether
are.
I am audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
Yeah. So let me start. Namaste. It is an opportunate time to renew contacts and discuss problems of mutual interest with delegates from various countries. I think Corona has given us opportunity to remove the boundaries and connect with the people. I know it is difficult situation, but and everyone needs to be an optimistic. Hence, entrepreneur can see the opportunities behind it. To all budding entrepreneurs, it is important to understand the ecosystem first. Therefore, we plan to organize this webinar, and I think no better than a successful entrepreneur, Mr. Donny, can make you understand it in a great way. I, Anil Kharea, Chairman, Modern Group of Institutions, feeling honored to welcome our speaker, Mr. Donny Rogers. It is gratifying to note that the agenda of the webinar covers a wide range of very interesting items relating to the startups, entrepreneurships. I also welcome all the participants who are going to be benefited by this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now, before moving further, I would like to give a brief introduction about our guest. Uh, are you able to see my screen share? Mr. Donny Rogers, he has done his diploma in management, administration, organizational behavior, and marketing. He did his master's MSc in SME sector development from the University of the West Indies Graduate School of Business. He went to EDII, which was granted by an ITEC scholarship. He is a consultant forensic investigator specializing in bond and securities, whereas he provides his services when requested by both the High Court and Government of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Roger is an agripreneur as he owns and operates his own dairy farm, and he is first to make market on the commercialization of dahi, having manufactured and distributing flavored dahi nationally. He has consulted to government on policy matters related to agriculture and SME sector development, and recently trained the first cohort of agripreneurs for the opposition party. Mr. Donny is a former Entrepreneur of the Year awardee. He worked and consulted globally in a business development, and his research is currently based on the sustainable development of the local agriculture sector. On behalf of Modern Group of Institution, I feel honored to welcome Mr. Donny on the international webinar series. Now, I would like to request Sir to start his introductory talk on the topic of the webinar. Over to you, sir, now.
Okay, pleasant morning to one and all. Those pictures are very flattering. Thank you. Pleasant morning to the chairman and Dr. Dwivedi, as well as yourself, Professor Patel, and to all those who made this webinar, possible. I am indeed very happy to be here today to share my insight on our topic. To my audience today, I wish you a very special hello from the Caribbean, and I wish one day to see you all on my shores visiting soon as the airs have opened up. So with all due protocols observed, I will begin my discourse today on post-COVID opportunities for Indian SMEs in the Caribbean, and more so specifically looking at the Caribbean, at the CARICOM region. So before I start, I will do a brief history on two things. The first one is on how East Indians, arrived to the Caribbean. So under British rule between the years 1845 to 1917, after slavery was abolished, there was a need to fill a void for labor. And that was how the indentureship period began. So specifically to Trinidad, where I'm from, we have had a movement of just about 144,000 East Indians at that time, which was obviously a very large figure, coming into Trinidad. From then to now, some have returned to India, very, very few, but the majority stayed, resided, and made Trinidad their home. Hence, hence the population in Trinidad and CARICOM and the Caribbean. Now, Trinidad is the most southerly island in the Caribbean and is the largest trading partner in CARICOM. CARICOM basically is the Caribbean Community, and it's a treaty which seeks to bring smaller island states and member states into one trading bloc. So geographically, CARICOM stands between Belize in Central America, the entire of the Caribbean with the exception of Cuba, and in South America, Guyana and Suriname. So you have a very large trading bloc, at least for our side. We have a total population in CARICOM of 18 million, which I know is relatively small to some of the cities in India. But it provides to us, and it provides to us a very solid platform where opportunities exist and opportunities can be explored. So getting into our discussion today, the COVID virus was very unfortunate, but out of adversity, and adversity specifically is, COVID has destroyed economies in some cases. There is always the positive side to it. And in this webinar, I would like to discuss those sort of opportunities in the Caribbean and CARICOM, because what COVID did, if we look at it from a strategic point of view, COVID removed many blankets that were previously left untouched, and it revealed many new opportunities, many new protocols, and well, we will discuss some opportunities today. So with the advent of globalization, that has made these opportunities that we could explore in the Caribbean easier. So in my book, I think we have a perfect triple helix model of opportunity, globalization, and free trade. So that provides to Indian SMEs a nice formula that they could use as a benchmark in order to look at engaging, well, specifically further engaging any opportunities they may so want to go to, in the Caribbean. So I have identified 3 main areas that will provide the best benefit to Indian SMEs in looking at this region. And those are manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and agriculture. So let's discuss manufacturing first. Recently, CARICOM governments have identified their movement towards the green initiative. So under manufacturing, my first opportunity that I'd like to present is the assembly of solar components. There are governments, even the government of Trinidad and Tobago, who have identified solar component, either manufacturing or assembly, as being one of the, or a part of a developmental pillar of the economy. So from the governmental point of view, in which most companies would want to have some sort of understanding from and some sort of buy-in, that understanding and that buy-in has already been discussed and created. Governments now are at the stage where they are trying to attract that sort of investment, and those sort of institutions and companies and manufacturers who would be willing to come here and provide that sort of service, not just to Trinidad, but Trinidad opens the gateway to numerous countries. Now, I must say that CARICOM provides duty-free movement to all countries. So having components manufactured here or assembled here, it provides to the manufacturer or the entity that competitive benefit of, from a price perspective, where they can now compete globally with countries like China and those kinds of things. So Trinidad is very similar to India, and therefore the clothing that we wear is also very similar. So textiles and clothing is another great opportunity that that can be leveraged on. We basically use the same things. Here we have numerous Indian trade fairs that would present to local buyers all the clothing, all the instruments, everything. Even the furniture from India is sold here, and those bazaars have become quite established in Trinidad. So therefore, the opportunity to look at clothing and textiles as well is very strong. On the manufacturing side, to remain there for one more point, the manufacturing of components to feed secondary operations is also something that is very provides very strong possibilities for someone looking to come in here. So generally, when we look at the manufacturing sector, we in Trinidad primarily are energy-based. The Caribbean, by and large in general, is agricultural-based. So we don't have a very strong component manufacturing sector, and that provides an opportunity for a foreign-based company to come in and leverage on that opportunity. So pharmaceuticals now. Needless to say that post-COVID, there is a need for pharmaceuticals. But we remain a very large importer of over-the-counter drugs, prescription drugs, but more so over-the-counter drugs from India. And when we look at logistical challenges, and especially logistical challenges faced by COVID, I know that certain manufacturers, their operations were disrupted. They weren't able to get their goods out to various countries because of the obvious reasons. Now I think with a market of 18 million plus, because we're not just looking at logistically basically the ease of logistics for CARICOM. We are looking at South America, Central America, North America. So we have this is half of the globe here we're talking about now. It provides a logistical benefit to someone who may be interested in looking at setting up a facility to do over-the-counter drugs or whatever it is. In pharmaceuticals as well, and this may sound surprising, we currently import all saline fluids from Europe. That by itself speaks of opportunity as well. And that should not, from my research, it is not a very difficult type operation, but it is an operation that only one with the experience should really leverage on. So again, another opportunity for an Indian SME in that regard. We will now touch on agriculture, which admittedly is my favorite topic. And if we were to fully talk about agriculture, we may need another webinar here today. But we will just go, on a few general topics. Now, let me begin by stating a couple facts here for you all to digest. Trinidad currently has a food import bill of $4 billion. So we are not food sufficient. Agriculture contributes a mere 0.4% of our annual GDP. Now, to another country, that may be alarming. And yes, COVID has removed that blanket from that high food import bill. Because again, as we talked about earlier, when we have logistical challenges, we can't purchase food. Nothing is coming in, so you would find grocery shelves, missing a few items. Now, agriculture, I mean, there is no need to go on to explain why agriculture and food production should be at the top of a country's list. I know from my experience in India, India is very high on the food sufficiency scale, and as compared to other countries, we are very low. So that presents an opportunity now where countries could come in here, or entities from other countries could come in here and leverage on those specific opportunities within the agricultural sector. So just to give an example, I know mushrooms is a very large item in India. And in the entire of CARICOM, we have no commercial growers of mushrooms. None. We import everything from the East and Canada. Our consumption, which will be on canned mushrooms, it's to the tune of about 1 billion US annually. And that's a very conservative figures, because I have not been able to get figures from every single member state of CARICOM. So my best estimate, which is at minimum value, is 1 billion US. Now, from my research in India, because I am actually looking at going into mushrooms sometimes. I was supposed to come up to the Directorate of Mushroom Research in Solon this year to do one of the programs in it, but with COVID, we had to put that off. India has really capitalized and become a specialist in my book in the growing of mushrooms. So it's like second nature to India. And I think any company coming in here to leverage on this one product can gain very, very, very significant value as it relates to a very wide customer base, an open customer base, a very, a customer base that currently consumes a lot of it. If we're talking about a minimum value of 1 billion US, that's a very encouraging figure, for an entity to look at expansion into Trinidad. So another product that I see India is strong in would be condiments, the growing of vanilla, things like black peppers and those kind of things. Now, vanilla on the global market is gold when we look at the prices on the international market. We have in Trinidad at a very domestic scale a few producers who are not commercial by any means. They grow vanilla just for the novelty of it. The closest producer we have of vanilla that trades or sells globally is in Guadeloupe. And when we look at the global output, Guadeloupe is at the bottom of the scale. So in Trinidad, we have the land space, we have the climatic conditions, we have the variety as well that is heat tolerant, rain tolerant, that is acclimatized to giving best output. And I think with the technical expertise that the Indian agripreneurs hold over us, it will be a very easy leverage for someone to take advantage of that. So generally, overall, Trinidad has numerous opportunities, and not just Trinidad, the Caribbean and CARICOM. We have countries in CARICOM that for various crops will have various types of soils and various climates, because we're not just talking about agriculture here. I know coffee and cocoa is a very nice market in India, and Trinidad has the #1 variety of cocoa in the world, which is the Trinitario. Yet, for government policy reasons, we have not fully leveraged on that opportunity. So it opens many doors for another player to come in and gain significant value in that. We have also identified in Trinidad, and this is aside from the 3 points that we're going to speak about, we have also identified developmental indices in maritime. For instance, shipbuilding, ship repairs, and those kinds of things. Because of our comparative advantage and our location in the Caribbean Sea, fortunately, the last threat of a hurricane we got was, I believe, in 1975. And it wasn't even a direct hit. So whilst we are on the hurricane belt, we have never, and I say this guardingly, we have never had that sort of adverse weather here from 1975 to date. So it's a safe ground in the Caribbean for mariners. It's a safe ground for maritime operations and the maritime hub. And actually now we are the maritime gateway to Central America. So we need to look at applying leverage in that field as well. So generally, Trinidad, which I should say now is a twin republic, Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago being the more tourist-oriented island, which is a lot smaller than Trinidad. We are the largest trading partners in CARICOM. We are the gateway to the Caribbean, Central America, North America, and recently to South America. And to Indian SMEs who are so looking to leverage on opportunities that have been recently uncovered, now would be the perfect time to do so. Just because that there are no takers right now of it. It is always good being first to market on something, you know. And to just touch on that briefly, one of my business is in dairy. And from my experience in India, I learned to make dahi in India. Right? So, so on coming back here with our very large Indian population here, I started to make dahi, and for quite some time it was very good. And I was able, which I learned in India, how to infuse a flavor in dahi, because we just had the typical plain dahi in Trinidad. And that went really well. It has received the endorsement of government ministers as well. And it has received the support actually now that we are trying to leverage on from government. So it shows not just to Trinidad SMEs or Trinidad farmers, but it shows to the wider population that there are numerous opportunities but we just have to look strategically in order to be able to identify it. And I think generally that would be my contribution on this topic for today. So if we have any questions or any comments, feel free to.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving a brief insight of a brief history of Trinidad. And I think a participant enlightened themselves to know about the other countries and scope of the business in other country like Caribbean region. If they want to go and do some business in Caribbean, so this is, I think, the best webinar they should attend. So moving further, we have I think 156 participants with us right now, and the chat box is full of compliments and comments that it was a wonderful informative session. One question that has came from the attendee, so I will start from that. That explain the scope and bonds and securities in West Indies and how different scopes from Indian market. How different it is from the Indian markets.
Okay, so well, I'm not too familiar with bonds and securities on the Indian market, but specifically in order to obtain state contracts and state briefs and those kind of things, the governments usually require some sort of instrument to guard against monetary losses. So, and these would be in the form of bonds and securities, and state briefs could be quite large. So these instruments will have a high monetary value. So basically my function is, unfortunately, I come in at the end. So when any state contracts are called into question, my function would be to do a forensic analysis of and provide a root cause for a contract not being able to be fulfilled. So my findings would usually guide either the government, the insurer, or in most cases the courts as to what went wrong and what could be the possible outcome of whatever action there would be.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really very informative. My next question is, like everywhere, it is, Corona is everywhere right now, and every businesses are, getting affected by it. So what are the opportunity and benefits of small businesses, small enterprises in this post-COVID era?
Okay. As I spoke about, whilst there are many negative attributes to COVID actually removed many blankets. So there are many opportunities that have been identified. Now, let me just say, I launched Flavored Dahi in the middle of COVID, in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And in 1 week, we expanded to 15 retail locations, just in 1 week. And this is without any national marketing campaign or anything like that. This is just launching it on Facebook and getting the whole social media frenzy going, right? So that to me shows that there is a distinct capacity of when you identify opportunities coming out from a negative situation and you apply just the amount of right leverage into it, it can work. So firstly, I would say that one of the benefits coming out of COVID is the exposure of underlying needs, right? Then we have leveraging of new opportunities. And what I think COVID should do now, and we are being strategic here, COVID has destroyed economies, it has destroyed businesses, it has brought businesses to its knees largely. And in business continuity planning and in strategic planning, we all talk about planning for the unknown. But I think COVID was way past those parameters of what we would think would be unknown. Because I don't think anybody last year, or even as recent of December in 2019, saw what we are going through now. And nobody could have predicted this. So what COVID should do is provide to entrepreneurs who are the most vulnerable in this whole, in this whole sphere of things, a new perspective on strategic planning, on business continuity, and financial management. And I think that is one of the greatest benefits coming out of COVID if we were to be strategic in looking at it.
Thank you so much, sir. You have proven that entrepreneur can see a silver lining in all the darkness.
Definitely, definitely.
So my next question is, all SMEs are, facing challenges these days. So what challenges your Caribbean region is facing? All SMEs are facing in Caribbean regions.
Okay, so the challenges that SMEs would be facing in the Caribbean is okay. So for the Caribbean, we are very tourism based. So we have a lot of people flying in. So with the closure of borders, or I should say with the forced closure of borders, because in some cases, some countries rely totally on tourism, such as St. Lucia, Dominica, and those kind of things. The challenges would be, number one, financial. No, we are not in the Caribbean. Many countries are not as wealthy as developed nations, where they could afford to give specific subventions to assist with the loss of profit. So the challenges would be, number one, business continuity. And even in Trinidad, we have seen some very large names, especially in the, I would say, entertainment and restaurant industry, close shop, and that's it. The losses were just too heavy over this period to be able to recuperate. And some of the better restaurants have closed. Quite a bit of the small and medium type service providers and retailers and wholesalers have also closed, because based on their product base, their service and product won't need it anymore. So the challenge for SMEs in the Caribbean coming out of COVID would be continuity and finances.
That is really very true, sir. That continuity and an entrepreneur should not, sit back and, they should not feel depressed and, demotivated at this time. My next question is from a participant, that what is the education sector is facing? How the learning is going on in your region?
Okay, so in Trinidad and the Caribbean, we have a couple benchmark examinations. One examination is called the secondary entrance assessment, and that is done at between age 11, 12. So children move from primary school to secondary school. That examination was supposed to be held in April. We are in June, going into July, and still no word. So the entire academic year for everything has been messed up. That's the reality of it. Actually, my daughter is stressed out because she was supposed to write this this much stressed over examination in April, and now there seems to be no date as to when it could happen. But how education is being delivered now, teachers are using technology. So every morning, my daughter goes on to a Zoom classroom. They get their work on WhatsApp. On the evening, they go back into the Zoom classroom. Work is corrected. So technology is actually playing a major part in this. So now we had a former government that had a laptop program, and in that laptop program, they give every student, which is about 25,000 a year, a laptop to enter secondary school with. So they're given a free laptop. And I think that has provided a platform where the delivery now of education has been facilitated to a very large extent. So in that case, students were, to a point, cushioned from the absence of technology, and that has really worked now, with us. But generally, Zoom has grown to be very popular now in COVID, and WhatsApp as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your views on the education sector. My next question is, in this era of COVID, what will be the most suitable kind of business in this current situation, in your view?
I think when we look at the basic human needs for survival, it has evolved. So it's not food, clothing, shelter anymore. Right?
True.
Food, clothing, shelter, pharmaceuticals. Right? So I would say anyone looking for investment, and I would say this because we have to be realistic from the dollars and cents of it. You would want to get into an activity that generates a positive cash flow in the shortest period of time. So for that, I would say there are two areas that I would recommend. Pharmaceuticals, specifically for the Caribbean, the various types of saline fluids and over-the-counter drugs, even to an extent diabetic medication, as well as agriculture and food production or food processing. Right? So I would say those two areas would be where a foreign entity coming into Trinidad would derive the healthiest benefits at a faster rate, providing a better annual turnover positively.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really very informative. My last question in the series is, in your view, what kind of collaboration Caribbean and India should do for mutual financial benefit and employment generation? Because most of the people has lost their job in this COVID situation. So what collaboration we should do?
Okay, so if we are looking at expansion, and for India, it will be a SME looking at foreign expansion, looking at Trinidad. If one were to undertake a personal analysis, which would be, in my opinion, the more appropriate analysis that would provide the pros and cons and the parameters of all the variant fields that you need to consider. How I would say that the best approach would be either one, a joint venture approach, because you would need to have someone locally who could guide that process according to what it is you're going on to, who could, how should I put it, who could act as, in some cases, based on the product, the face of the organization to
Creator.
drive the sales, those kind of things, because we are looking at the acceptance of a new entrant culturally. Because sometimes a foreign company may come in to provide a necessary product. So let's say saline, all right? You're providing an essential product, not necessary. We are talking about essential here. But there may be barriers culturally and cross-culturally. So I would say a joint venture would be my first answer to that. And in the absence of a joint venture, having an honest and competent consultant, would be the second approach.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really wonderful. One of the attendee, they have asked, Dania Ramapadadart. I don't know the surname, but yes. Dania has asked, what are some of the initiatives which can be introduced to encourage the development of agriculture sector in post-COVID-19?
Okay, so we are speaking specifically to Trinidad here, right? What we would need. Okay, so we have various initiatives by the government, but we, in my opinion, as an agripreneur and as a practitioner in the agricultural sector, we have developed beyond what the provisions of those initiatives could do. So one example, and I always know we are in general election season here in Trinidad. So now is where any academic or anyone who wants to create that change has to speak up. So I have been advocating to start right, because you can't start wrong, obviously. Now, when we look at policy and the prescription of proper policy, we need in Trinidad an agricultural census. Because right now we don't have the empirical data where someone could answer this simple question: how much of what is being produced by who at what level? We don't have that empirical data, and I think an agricultural census will provide that basic platform. And from that platform, you will have big data. Now you will translate that data into small data and actionable data, leading to a very practical policy to be formulated now by government. So now government from this agricultural census can be guided more efficiently in prescribing policies for the agricultural sector. That is one. And on the other side, I will say look at the incentive programs to farmers and not just fortify it, but employ a policy onto that ensures that it is reviewed in tandem with the development of the sector. So you don't want the sector developing, but you have incentives that are 20 years old, So everything must work hand in hand and move forward in tandem.
Yeah, it was really wonderful, sir. It was really informative, and you gave the insight of the question. Now, I am very keen to know about, as you said, you have started the business of dahi in this pandemic. So I'm more keen to know how this idea clicked to you and how you planned your business and how you,
Okay, so so in Trinidad, and I'm guessing it's the same in India, dahi is used in cooking, but more so in Trinidad, it is used for stomach ailments, acid reflux, gastric reflux, and those kind of things, upset stomach. So it's widely used for those reasons. Now, I decided that I wanted to use a different probiotic culture. Because if it's being used for stomach issues, so I used a Greek probiotic culture, which means it has 6 probiotics in it as compared to, I believe, regular that he has about 3 or 4 probiotics. I could be wrong about that. But now what that did, it made the taste of the dahi a lot smoother. It's a lot more palatable. So what we have found is that from the launch of this dahi, which was a plain dahi, unflavored, we penetrated markets that were basically untouched before, because now they have something that could provide a health benefit and doesn't taste as bad. Now, when we came out with the flavor dahi, and my flavor in dahi is ginger and turmeric, fortunately, it crossed cultural lines. So a lot of our users are not Indians, where traditionally the majority were Indians. Now I think it's kind of balancing. Now, how we did that was with, number one, social media marketing, and number two, which I think is more important, our outlets. So we looked at strategically placing our product in various geographic locations that would appeal to different classification of buyers, different pockets, different ethnic groups. And we leverage on those two things combined, and thankfully it worked.
That was wonderful, sir. Am I audible to you? Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, Professor.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It was really very wonderful and very motivating session from your side, that if someone is planning to do the business in Caribbean region, so they should, get inspired by your session. So
Thank you.
I would like to thank you so much. I would also like to know that we all have 151 participants with us right now. It was 160, 170, but I know it is 151 right now. And many questions are there, but we have a short of time, so we are not able to ask all the questions. But if you would like to answer those questions, I will mail you all the questions so that you can answer the questions.
So you could feel free to share my email address,
Sure.
And my contact information. Even on Facebook, feel free to look me up on Facebook. I am always open to chat and giving advice. That is not a problem. So look me up on Facebook. It's the fastest way now, to communicate. So I'm extending that to your audience. Send me your questions, and I will be happy to respond. I will be happy to assist in any way possible.
Thank you. That is so kind and generous of you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I would request our group director, sir, Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi, to propose word of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It was really a wonderful session by Mr. Donny. And the topic was post-COVID opportunities for Indian SMEs in the 11. And we have heard very insightful thoughts of Mr. Donny. And we have got many good questions and wonderful feedbacks about the session in the chat box and in the question box we have seen. So really, it is a proud moment to have you here, sir, in our platform, #Modern Talk by Modern Group of Institutions. I would like to thank you again for being here with us and sharing knowledge with the academicians and researchers, policymakers, professors, students, and other startup people in this webinar. On behalf of Modern Group of Institutions and our chairman, Shri Anil Khariaji, Vice Chairman, Shri Shantanu Khariaji, I would like to thank you again. Thank you all the participants for hearing this wonderful session by Mr. Donny. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Once again,
I would
I
like
would like to thank you.
thank you
So much, sir.
on behalf
of
Modern
Group of Institution,
our
our
chairman,
chairman,
Shri Anil
Shri Anil Khariaji,
Vice
Vice
Chairman,
Chairman,
Shri Shantu Khariaji, and our group director, Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi. And on behalf of entire Modern Group family, I thank you so much. I also thank all the participants, those who have stayed back and throughout the session. And all the participants will receive the certificate within 7 working days from the date of the webinar. You will get the feedback form after the host will finish the meeting. So stay tuned for more informative webinars. Tomorrow we also have one webinar. So please, I have shared the link with you. Register yourself, and it is also an international webinar. So stay tuned to Modern Group of Institutions. Thank you so much once again, sir. Namaste.
Namaste. It was my pleasure. I'm available anytime you're ready again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Take care.